Hello, everyone. In this lecture video, I will be continuing um, supply chain management and its important components, right? So in the previous lecture, I talked about the importance of supply chain management system for your organization, for your enterprise, right? So I basically covered what supply chain system is and how to effectively manage a supply chain network of your organization or your enterprise. All right. So in this lecture, I'm going to like talk about the drivers, right? The factors that are driving, that are forcing the supply chain network or supply chain management system of your organization, your enterprise, right? So, achieving strategic fit in supply chain management system, right? So I mentioned about the strategies or strategic execution, strategic planning, execution, managing in supply chain management, right? That must be aligned with your organization's business strategies or like strategic decision making, your strategic objectives, and so on, right? Ideally, the SCM, the strategy that you use in SCM must support your, bigger, larger organizational strategic, objectives, strategic decision making, strategic business operations. This alignment is very important, all right? So this is what I highlighted in the previous lecture, right? So aligning responsiveness, which is very important for a SCM to be very responsive and also to be efficient in terms of streamlining the business operations in the SCM, right? That has to be aligned with companies like competitive strategy, um, such as kind of like your attracting customers, making more profits, and also like efficiency in like delivery, quality control, many other stuff, right? So these can be the competitive strategy in your organization, right? So your strategies at the organizational level that must be aligned with your strategy in our supply chain management, right? So there are factors that can influence supply chain management system of your organization, your enterprise, all right? So that include facilities, inventory, transportation, and of course information. So these are forming factors, key factors that can have impact, right? That can have an impact on the supply chain management system of your enterprise, right? So that will help your organizations like supply chain um, be effective and also be efficient. And more importantly, it will be aligned with your business strategies and competitive advantage. All right, the very first one, the very first factor here is called facilities, which is very clear to us, right? So when you think about the supply chain network for your organization, for your enterprise, there are like many facilities, the physical and also maybe digital facilities. They are very important, all right? So right here, I'm referring to like physical facilities, right? So there are different types of facility when it comes to a supply chain management. So that will include, your production firm, your logistics, track cars, and also your automated machines and warehouses inventory, and so on, right? So without these, like you cannot actually run and execute and also manage your supply chain system, right? For example, like, within your organization, unless you order from external organizations, what you have to do here is you need to produce, you need to manufacture your own products, right? So to be able to do this, you need to have your own factories, manufacturing farm. You need to have, transportational facilities such as kind of like containers, like, tractors and machines and many other stuff, right? So different types of facilities depending on the nature of your um, business, right? And the next one is facility decisions. How many you will have? Where do you want to locate your warehouses? Where do you want to, set up your, the automated machines? And what type of logistics like are you going to use? These are all related to your strategic decision making when it comes to facilities for ERP system and also the supply chain. All right. So the other important factors in under like facilities category will include the locations of your facilities and like how they can be easily accessible, how close they are within the proximity of your target market and also the consumer, right? So these are all a part of important as strategic planning and the decision making. And of course, like, the cost will be a very important a factor here to be taken into account, such as like whether you're going to the rent, the kind of where do you get the location. For example, like, you will kind of like purchase a land and also set up your own warehouse, or maybe what is your plan, right, in terms of creating warehouses, setting up the manufacturing farm and stuff, right? There is always a cost for each facility that you build, right? And of course the others will include inbound. Inbound basically means like your internal your organization owned the facilities, the logistic facilities. Or maybe are you going to rely on the outbound logistics, right? So there are many stuff that we need to do. Okay, inventory, which is kind of like, I would say, one of the most important factors in supply chain management, because if you're selling products, or like selling foods, or like providing services, especially the physical like products, such as like you're selling detergent, or like you're selling like instant noodle or whatever, right? So you need to have, or maybe you're running e-commerce company, right? You need to have a physical location for your inventory where you keep all your stocks, right? So this is kind of like vital and backbone, because whenever customers like order and they purchase, like you need to update your inventory list, right? And also you have to monitor your inventory list always, right? So that you will be able to know like how to manage, how to order, how to manufacture products require for order fulfillment in your ERP system, right? So inventory, like comprises like raw materials, or maybe half half finished, or like fully finished goods owned by the organization, and you need to have a physical location for this, right? And what are your like inventory policies, right? So it is kind of like just in time, or it is kind of like the vendor manage inventory, right? You can design it, and how responsive your inventory system is, like for example, if you're running out of like certain products, but how you're going to know, right? So it has to be responsive. It is kind of like very important factor in supply chain, right? So efficiency, like large inventories increase holding costs, thereby potentially reducing efficiency. So efficiency is one thing is kind of how um quickly you can fulfill the um customers orders, right? So whenever they want to purchase something, you need to have a safe stock in your inventory, right? So for example, if you're running out of products but Christmas is closer, to supplying customers orders, but you don't have enough inventory, that in that case, right, how efficient your system is, right? But the one potential problem here is if you're keeping a lot of large inventories in your in the physical location warehouse, right? So it will increase like holding costs. For example, you need electricity. For example, the raw materials where you need to have a cold container or storage that will need electricity and kind of like human involvement, right? Human labors. In that kind of situation, holding a large quantity of inventories can cause a lot of you know money to your company, right? And also these products will also have the expired dates, right? So we have to be very careful like when it comes to stocking the I mean like stock up, your pile up the products in your inventory, right? So the balance between how much minimum do you want to keep, and like what is the maximum number of like products, and how much will it cost. So these are the things that you have to plan it, manage it like very carefully. Okay, safety stock is like one of the important concepts in our supply chain and also in inventory, right? It is a buffer or like extra inventory that you keep to prevent shortages or like stock ox. Stock ox basically means, okay, due to like Christmas break or like a festive season, you are kind of like are running out of products, but there are more customers like coming in, the orders coming in, you are short of your products, and to be able to manufacture it will take uh quite some time. In that case, how will you make sure you have a safe like stock or like safety stock? This is kind of like a very important. So imagine a store like selling shoes. So typically they only sell 50 pairs a week, and like it takes 2 weeks for a new shipment once they order from the manufacturing side. But due to unexpected events like holidays, they sometimes sell up to 70 pairs a week, right? So to make sure they don't run out of like stock while waiting for the next shipment, the next delivery, right, or distribution. So they need to keep a safety stock of extra shoes to make sure when customers order, they can fulfill their orders, right? So this buffer, right, will make sure they can meet customers like demand even during like unexpected sales spikes, right? So this is to make sure we satisfy our customers whenever they kind of like request the order. We can easily like fulfill their orders, right? So this is pretty important in supply chain. So the next one is transportation, which is kind of like pretty um you know straightforward, because as I mentioned in the lecture video one, that transportation is very important. So we need to transport like raw materials from one place to another, the fine goods from the warehouse to the distributors, and from distributors to retailers and many other stuff, right? Until we uh, uh provide our services, our products to our consumer, right? To the consumers. In that case, like transportation is very, very important. Okay, what they will do in terms of like moving products between different stages in a supply chain, right? So we have different entities. We have different like places, right? Um, the next one is the mode and the route are like very important. Whether you are using kind of like by air or by sea or by land, you have to think about it. And routes are also like available, especially when you are transporting raw materials or like finished goods from one place to another place, which is quite far, right? It can be in the same country, same region, same province, but in most cases it can be in another country or it can be in different province and so on, right? So transportation efficiency is very important. Otherwise, kind of like it can cause disruption to the like your business operation, supply chain operation. All right. So the next one is transportation responsiveness, right? How efficient, effective in terms of fulfilling the like your orders, your customer orders, your business operations in the supply chain, right? So efficiency, for example, if you use like by air, like it will be very quick, super quick, right? Whereas if you're using sea, it will be like it might take quite a long time. But by air, we have limitation, basically how much quantities you can bring in, you can transport, whereas like we can do a lot by sea, right? So what about by land, right? So it must be a strategic planning and the thinking and execution when it comes to the transportation in supply chain, right? Okay, nowadays, like information is very, very important, right? Any information systems, like, without data, without information, we cannot survive because they are the backbone in any organization, in any enterprises. Because using such data, we will transform them into like insightful, full information, and that will be transformed into knowledge, right? So this knowledge will become like your, an to your business decision making process. For example, like to be able to manage a supply chain network, we have to have information from various entities such as like suppliers, like logistic firms, manufacturing, inventory, so that we can improve, we can streamline, we can operate it like seamlessly. This is basically a very important here. Okay, so the next one is pretty straightforward, which is called software and technology. As I mentioned, like, a data is very important, but the role of technology when it comes to like, technology, it can be two parts, right? Software technology and the hardware devices. So basically you will need for your organization, for your enterprise, you will basically need a software system such as like an ERP system that contains a supply chain as a module, or like it can be like a separate supply chain management system, so that you will be able to seamlessly manage the entire supply chain business process. And also we will need like hardware devices such as like IoT sensors, like artificial intelligence like drone technologies, and also robotic machines that can be installed and integrated into your existing supply chain system, right? So this is pretty important here. Okay, now we have talked about the drivers or factors important for the supply chain, right? So now we are going to talk about the supply chain process, right? So these are the like sub processes or like sub task that you have already known it. The very first one is procurement, right? So procurement is like very important like business process in our supply chain management, right? It is buying style, right? So procurement is a important activity between two businesses, B2B. One company sells like raw materials to another company, right? So where companies like build strategic relationship. So this is kind of like a relationship, a partnership between two companies, like to trade or like to do businesses, right? Which is kind of very important, right? So your organization must have a good relationship with your suppliers to purchase raw materials, right? So these platforms like streamline transactions between two companies with features like transparent pricing, volume discounts, right? So it can be achieved through the ERP system or like supply chain management system, so that you can exchange information in a very seamless way or in a very efficient or effective way. Outsourcing and partnerships are very important, right? So in some cases, your organization may not do everything, every task involved in the supply chain management, because it may not be your specialty, or it may not be your strength, right? For example, like a Starbucks, right? So um they kind of like selling coffee, right? Quality coffee, but producing coffee beans may not be their focus, their work, their business, right? In this case, like they have to rely on the external suppliers to source these coffee beans, right? Or maybe like producing like plastic cups or like eco-friendly cups. So this may not be a part of Starbucks Corporation. So in that case, like they have to outsource like these operations to the external organizations or external factories, right? The companies, so that you will be able to get the products that you need for your own product, such as like your you know selling coffees, right? So partnership is very important. It has to be loyal, it has to be transparent, it has to be reliable, right? So this is pretty important. Okay, the manufacturing flow management is very important. So manufacturing should be done by the facts, right? For example, based on the request from the inventory, based on the the existing data, the manufacturing process will only work or use the past data to produce, to supply products. Otherwise, what if like you are kind of like overproducing like products, it will be wasted, right? So in that case, like just in time processing is like a very effective strategy, right? That will minimize inventory by producing items only they are required, right? So in that case, like you can reduce a lot of waste, and you will only do just in time like manufacturing processing, right? It can save costs, it can become more efficient, and so on, right? So this processing and the other one is minimal loss site, right? Okay, minimal loss site is another concept, right? Which is very important to producing or ordering products in smaller, more frequent batches, right? So for example, like instead of like producing like a lot of items, you only produce in a smaller quantity, but you will do it like frequently. Okay, just in time is based on the past data and the actual information, they will be able to produce it, right? So these two strategies can basically enhance efficiency of your supply chain by reducing like waste, right? And shorter like cycle times, and support activities like planning, scheduling, contribute to meeting customer demands efficiently and promptly, right? So in that case, like we need to rely on the historical data to be able to produce that only require. And in alternatively, we can do minimal lot sites, right? So this is what we have to do. Order order fulfillment, like order fulfillment is basically, you know, this is what we want to achieve um for the not only for um supply chain, but also for the entire ERP system, right? So the reason is we want to sell our products, right, to consumers, right? But the question is, because like we will make money, but the question here is like, how to order, like, how to fulfill their order seamlessly, the seamless consumer experience. In that case, the role of ERP, the role of supply chain is very important for the order fulfillment. Okay, customer service management process is very, very important. This is what I have highlighted in the previous video, right? So this is the only touch point where consumers will have a chance to see, use, and experience your products, your food, your services, right? So designing a good customer service and managing it effectively is very important business process, not only for the supply chain and but also for the ERP, right? So how do supply chain management systems coordinate planning, production, and logistic with suppliers? So this is what I have already talked about this. So materials, information, payments, like they flow through the supply chain life cycle in both directions, from this local farmers all the way to the consumers, and reverse back from the consumers to the like local farmers, right? So they are very important. So return items flow in the reverse direction from the buyer, consumer, back to the seller, right? So the seller will be able to do something. It will discard, or like it will recycle, something like this, which is called a reversed supply chain system. Okay, when you are talking about like supply chain management system, there are two portions: upstream and like downstream, right? So in the upstream, what includes it's like the suppliers, like local farmers, suppliers, the suppliers, manufacturers, and so on, the process for managing relationship with them. So this is the upstream, like where we do the, like, procurement, purchasing, manufacturing, quality control, and so on. So the downstream is like to coordinate the activities involved in buying, making, and moving a product, consisting of like organizations and processes for distributing, delivering products to the our end users, right? So downstream part will include more towards like distributors, retailers, and the consumers, right? The flow from the upstream to downstream is very important. From the downstream to the all the way back to the upstream is also very important here. So when you talk about like this Nike's like supply chain, so is your enterprise, your organization, for example, you have a supplier. These suppliers will have their own suppliers. Their own suppliers will have more and more suppliers, right? So this is called like, upstream, right? Then you get users like, the products, the raw materials, then you manufacture it, right? Then your fine goods, like finished goods, will be transported to your distributors. Distributors will be sending to your local markets, or like local stores, supermarkets, and so on. This is where customers will have to experience and use your products, which is called downstream, right? Okay, so this is kind of like, a Nike's supply chain systems, right? So this is, you may want to read as a reading assignment, right? So information systems and the supply chain management, how they are related, I have already talked about this, right? So without information systems, like without a, a good a good ERP system, you cannot survive. It's very challenging because you need to manage, you need to monitor, you need to flow the information, payment, materials, everything, right? So instead of doing manually, using our effective software systems, then what will happen here is that your supply chain network process will be more effective, more efficient. Okay, so the next one is called bullwhip effect, which is kind of very common in supply chain, right? So well, what is bullwhip effect? That that is kind of like one type of effect, and that occurs like when retailers, right, the local market, for example, become highly reactive to the demand, the customer's demand, or like the purchase pattern, and in turn, it will amplify expectations around it from the like other stakeholders, such as like manufacturer or like suppliers, distributors, and so on, and that will cause domino effect along the supply chain, right? So for example, a retailer typically keeps like 106 packs of one soda brand in stock. This is what they usually have. Then it normally sells on a particular day, they sells 26 packs like a day. So it will order that replacement amount from the distributor whenever they need to refill it, replenish, right? So but one day the retailer sells 76 packs because of the like holiday season or like long weekends. So assume customers will start buying more product and respond by ordering 106 packs to meet their higher forecast demand, right? So normally like they sell like that particular number, but because of the sudden spike in purchase, they expect, okay, so they might be selling more, so which is why they order more quantities from the like distributor. Then this will cause domino effect, right? The distributors and manufacturers, they got like sudden uh uh rise in the orders, right? So they have to kind of like fulfill it. So to be safe, like they order twice from their manufacturer, their suppliers, right? So it will become a wave, right? In the entire supply chain, right? Because of this bullwhip effect, right? So a distributor may then respond by ordering double 206 packs from the manufacturer to ensure they do not run out, right? So the objectives are the same, but they want to fulfill customers' orders like a very seamless way. But the problem is they don't have accurate data. It's kind of like just imagination and or like prediction, right? Without any facts. So which is why it caused a domino effect. So as I mentioned, customers like increase order, then retailers suddenly realize, okay, there are a lot of you know items like being sold, so I need to order like more from the distributor to the manufacturer to their suppliers. Then this will cause like amplification or like domino effect. In the end, when they transfer to like upstream all the way to the retailer, there are like a lot of stocks unnecessarily, right? So the the supply chain links like suppliers, manufacturer, and retailers to the consumer, the money flow, right? So it's crucial for efficiency and risk management. That kind of risk has to be managed. And disruptions or information errors, something like this, unusual patterns, so can impact on the entire chain, right? Domino effect, causing inventory issues, overflowing and the inventory. So what to do? How to control this, right? So to be able to control bullwhip effect, it can be tamed by reducing uncertainties about demand and supplies when all members of the supply chain have accurate, important, and real-time information, right? So how can we achieve that? By using the historical data and actual and accurate information, we can make a good prediction, a wise prediction, so that we will know we can make a strategic decision making what to order, how much we have to order, right? So the role of information systems such as ERP system or like the supply chain management system are very important. Okay, this is one example for the bullwhip effect. So I encourage you to read this one. So there are like plenty of methods to prevent bullwhip event. A vendor management inventory, as I mentioned, a vendor will have authority or access to your inventory list, and they will automatically replenish it, right? So lead time reduction is shorten the manufacturing and delivery times to reduce the forecasting errors, right? So lead time reduction is like you can, okay, it will take like 2 weeks to produce, but you can produce, you know, kind of like in the shorter time frame and make a quick delivery. A batch size reduction is also possible because you know, you have a certain number of products to produce, manufacture, and then uh, you will do it like frequently. Improve forecasting. We can use like, you know, our intelligence systems, machine learning to precisely forecast, you know, how much we will need. Collaboration with your suppliers, retailers to get the real-time information. And price stabilization is one important method. You don't play with the price all the time. Education is another important strategy. So forecasting is one important strategy by using the technologies, information systems, and of course, historical data, right? So by forecasting, we can make sure the bullwhip effect can be reduced and safety stock can be achieved, right? Okay, so nowadays, like, you know, electronic business and supply chain are very much complementing each other because um you know, you are running a e-commerce an e-commerce platform, right? So it is very critical for you to have a safety stock whenever customers are making orders, right? So that you will be able to do the replenishment like very effectively and very seamless way, right? So collaborative planning is very important between your organization and also your supply chain or partners. So how to integrate like supply chain or system into your ERP system? So ERP systems will have like, you know, many modules, right? So ERP, CRM, customer relationship, business intelligence, and many other modules, right? So under this, supply chain management can be one module, one integrated module, right? In some cases, you might need to rely on a separate supply chain management system, right? So this is like how you can connect or integrate your supply chain system with your ERP legacy system, right? So this is a pretty important. So this is a comparison in terms of ERP versus like specific supply chain management system, taking into account like these important factors like comprehensiveness, complexity, sourcing, constraint, functionality, processing speed, and so on, right? So when it comes to the supply chain integration, this is very important. You have to, as a kind of like an ERP or like enterprise information systems, like it's supply chain is one of the EIS systems, right? So you need to integrate with the legacy software in your organization, in your enterprises. In that kind of situation, these dimensions are very important. Information integration, maybe you may have your own centralized database, how you're going to do the channeling to these like databases, you know, synchronized planning, workflow, right? Business process workflow coordination is very important. And you may even think about the new business model, right? So these are more detailed explanation of it, but I won't go very detailed here. So our supply chain is very important strategy or like in the functional area of your organization. It is so much related to your you know, top level management and also strategic management level, the executive level, right? Okay, so this is an example of like how SAP are like Ariba can be deployed and integrated into your supply chain, your supply chain process, and of course uh, be integrated with your ERP legacy software, right? For example, this company used SAP to optimize its procurement of raw materials, and this platform allows the company to seamlessly connect with a vast network of like suppliers, right? So this is what we need to do. Manufacturing by using the SAP integrated business planning, warehouse management, transportation and logistic, they all can be done using the SAP system. And retail inventory, right? So one famous vendor, it can basically like manage all aspects of your supply chain, right? So outcome can be like seamless business operation and like quality product, right? Okay, so this is all about the supply chain management system, uh just like 101 fundamental, right? I believe, I hope you will get some idea of it, and like I encourage you to do more advanced topics in the supply chain. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next video.